Attention students, the Jabroni University Network is now in session. Please make your way to class.
Rat chaser. Rat chaser. Rat chaser. Rat chaser. Rat chaser.
Coming to you from Fabulous Studio B+, it's the Chaser Brothers podcast with me, the son of Rad Chaser, and the man of the hour who reads Nintendo Power, the Bionic Commando in Orlando, the gamer who should come with a disclaimer.
Rat chaser.
Friends, hey, hi, hello, how you doing? Welcome to the show. What's been going on? This is Rad Chaser. How's the life? A little bit of rain out there today.
Lucky
in
you.
Rainy Orlando, Florida.
Bright and sunny here down in the Tampa Bay area.
And it's got me thinking about a question I wanted to ask you. What is the better game, Parappa the Rapper or Jammer Lammy?
Well, now's as good a time as any. Send your answers to chaserbros@gmail.com. That's where we answer it.
It's a new email.
Yep, chaserbros, B-R-O-S, chaserbros@gmail.com. Send the answers there. Send the answer to, did we ever find out if anyone won the magazine last week?
No one's asked for it yet.
No one's asked for it yet. Hey, if you want a free volume 2 for just the shipping, it's not in the greatest condition, but it is a magazine of Nintendo Power. Be the first to email at chaserbros@gmail.com, and I'll send it to you just for the price of shipping. So, this is a show where you can win free stuff.
Cash and prizes. I'm going to say Jammer Lammy.
Okay.
For those of you out there who don't know what the game is, it's a rhythm-based game. So, either one of them, they say a line to you, and then you have to repeat the line back in terms of button presses.
With fine artwork by Rodney Greenblatt. I don't remember who the composer is. Oh, well, woo.
If anybody knows anything, Parappa the Rapper is probably a household name, I would say, in a retro game community. But, look, they're both really good. I like them both. I just like Jammer Lammy a little bit more, I guess.
It's a rock and roll based game, so much so that even the arcades were sort of like they were the predecessor to Guitar Hero, because if you went to play this game in the arcade, it had a guitar controller. How's that grab you?
I like that very much.
Also,
I
like it.
Puts me in the game. It immerses me. So yeah, I'm into that. Thoughts? What do you like?
I think the better songs go to that's a good question. If we're saying Parappa, let's say Parappa 1 and 2, and then that's a little bit of a closer call because I think Parappa 2 has got some really wonderful songs. Masaya Matsuura and Yoshihisa Suzuki wrote the music for that, but Masaya Matsuura is the main person. I think this if you're just doing Parappa 1 versus Lammy wins, no question. Against Parappa 2, that's a different question entirely. I think the songs in Parappa 2 are a lot better. Also, it just helps that the game was on PS2. Those two offerings were PS1 games, but I don't know. It might also be Lammy for me. If I'm gonna go back and listen to songs, it is gonna be Lammy. So the answer is Lammy. Jammer Lammy. It's the one.
Nice. Get that finger button ready because Parappa the Rapper 2, I haven't played it.
I need a I'm not surprised button. We watched a couple videos from Parappa 2 while I was up there because I had it stuck in my head, which then turned to the question, which game is better? But I watched the ghost of a burger restaurant show you how to work there because his son's an incompetent.
Right, I get the storyline. That's another story too. I mean, they're both wild stories.
No beef against the people of Japan, but that's a super Japanese, like the ghost of your father comes back to yell at you because you're not doing it right. But
No
hey,
beef in a hamburger restaurant.
But hey, look, I mean I think a lot of people could speak to that experience. I mean that could vary, if that was the ghost of some kind of Latino restaurant, it would be the same thing. I don't know.
Which one would be tastier?
Oh, yeah, good question. I mean the burger dude is German, so that's sus. Cuz I don't know that the Germans are known for their hamburgers, but there is Hamburg, so maybe I'm realizing that I'm wrong as I'm saying it.
All right, that's the original.
What is this conversation?
Hamburger.
Okay, so let us give thanks to the people that we like to give thanks to at the beginning of the show. First of all, well, it's you, Charlie. You, the listener. If you're new to the show, like you saw some content, you're like, oh, there's a podcast, and now you're listening to it. Welcome.
Welcome. We are on our way to 2,000 subs on YouTube. We're gonna be there. We're at like 1960 something, so we just need 40 more chasers to get on board with this, and you will be rewarded with more content.
Chasing down retro video games and treasures, chasing other things, what have you.
Chasing down whatever tickles our pickle.
So yes, thank you. Thanks for listening. Thanks to subbing for the channel. We like making content for you, and if you're picking up what you're putting down, we love that. That's all we've ever wanted. I got to throw out another thanks to Retro Video Game Guy, our good buddy Justin on Instagram. Send me a real nice crispy copy of Skyward Sword for the Switch. So I've got that now. I really like that game. I'm interested to see what the experience of not having to play it with the motion controls is, but also maybe I'll just grab the Joy-Cons out of the dock and say screw it.
Okay. I'm into that.
Not going to hurt anything.
No, it's not. It won't hurt anybody. Speaking of Retro Video Game Guy, I got a couple of things coming from him too. He had it wasn't a claim sale. He just sort of posted up inventory, first come, first serve, and I came first and I served myself.
What'd you get?
I got a couple more NES games complete in the box coming my way, and that's going to help because I, as you might know, am doing an NES quest, wherein my goal is to add 100 NES games to the stack. Okay? So this is going to help. I got two more games coming. One's called Loops with a Z or a Z if you're from elsewhere. Some kind of puzzle game. I couldn't tell you. I haven't played it.
Of course not. What's the other game?
And then, what is it? Something tennis, all pro tennis, or something in Lendl tennis.
You don't have any of the facts.
I'm 50% right.
It is a tennis game. That's what we know for sure. This is
a Retro Video Game Guy.
This is the Chaser Brothers podcast, fueled by Retro Video Game Guy on Instagram,
and fueled by partial knowledge of anything at one given point in time.
If you want to send your unsolicited thanks to Retro Video Game
and video
Guy,
games. Oh wait, jump the gun there.
Email us at chaserbros@gmail.com. You can email us anything at chaserbros.com. We'll turn this into, we'll start doing mailbags once the mail starts piling up.
chaserbros@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's not hard to
also,
remember.
Retro Video Game Guy on Instagram at Retro Video Game Guy.
Yeah, he's giving
his stuff.
He's giving us nice stuff. He's now integrally wrapped into the Rad Chaser channel by way of his
nice
stuff.
Guy, giving nice stuff.
Yeah, and If you build a good rapport with him, he will trust you, which is good. Because I like trustworthy people. He's a trustworthy source to get any sort of claim video games. So he's the dude.
He is the dude. Speaking of NES games, do you have any favorites? What springs to mind when you say, "Ah, man, NES, awesome"? I got some favorites.
You got some favorites? How many favorites you got? I can hit you with 10.
It doesn't matter. Just some selects off the top of the head. It's not a quiz.
Well, if it were a quiz, I'd be prepared.
What would you say? Because let's move it on.
Okay, well, you no need to be nasty. So just right off the top of my head, Dr. Mario. That's one that it gets played. It gets played up until recently. Dr. Mrs. Son of Chaser and I like to play Dr. Mario against each other. Keeps us sharp, and we need that in our advancing age.
Dr. Mario's a good one. I will crush you at that.
You wish you could. You cannot. It's not possible. Bionic Commando is another great game. I think it's
nice one.
I mean, if you want to see my love for Bionic Commando, simply look up our Love Letter to Video Games series, which I've fallen off on, but I need to get back onto it. There will be more, but
Your literal love.
Yeah, Bionic Commando is up there. I love it because I think it's one of the greatest platformers ever made, and they took everything we knew about platformers up until that point and said, let's make it so that you can't jump. And it's fun. It takes a minute to learn how to do it, but when you master the system, that game is super fun, just zipping around doing what have you.
Yeah, it's funny. The most basic thing in a platformer, they're able to jump and move around, and you can't do that here, so you got to figure that out. And that's coming from the Bionic Commando in Orlando.
That's true. What do you got?
Well, you just named a couple, so I like those. Let's see what else. I was thinking about a couple things. Zexus.
I like Zexus. I like the music.
Zexus, good game there. Just I would say action RPG, if you want to call it that, in a sense. More adventure.
Yeah, it's
in the vein.
Yeah, it does have the RPG elements, the platforming and stuff. Yeah, it's got the stuff. The good stuff.
It's got the good stuff. The Guardian Legend.
Oh man, I love that game. That game's on my top 10. Especially because it does sort of seamlessly blend all those things. If you're looking for a game to get into on the NES that goes off the beaten path, it's the Guardian Legend, because it's got your Zelda elements, but it's also like it's also a shooter game. So instead of a sword and stuff, you've got a gun, and you get all sorts of like different power-ups and stuff like that. It's got some space shooter type stuff, vertical stuff like Salamander. So it's kind of a hybrid game like that, and it's got its RPG elements. I mean, I think I might like that game better than The Legend of Zelda. I think it's a better game than The Legend of Zelda. I think it has everything. Ooh. I think it has everything The Legend of Zelda has plus more stuff. It's a little difficult, but I think all games are, as we call it colloquially, NES difficult. So it is. It does have a little bit of NES difficulty to it, but if you can get past that first stage and when the game opens up into the whole game world, it's a great game. It's a great game, and it's very beatable.
NES difficulty, of course. If you are a youngster and you want to sharpen up the blade of your skill set, go play some NES games. A lot of them are what you might call unforgiving.
Yeah, if you like Souls type games where, you have to play sections of game over and over again until you master it to get to the next part, then NES difficulty, it might strike your fancy.
If you like playing games where you feel like you're not good enough and the game won't hesitate to let you know at every twist and turn, go do that. Mega Man, Battletoads, Just a couple off the top of the head.
You know, people always say Mega Man is super difficult, and you know what? I guess I got used to how difficult that game is because I remember the last time I played Mega Man 2, and I was like, this game is nice and easy if you know the rock paper scissors of it, like what order to fight all the robot bosses. Getting through the rest of the game is nice and easy. Like that one's, I guess it's not difficult to beat. So by comparison, yeah, I guess the first Mega Man game is more difficult.
Right, and you got to think about, well, there's no internet, no help. You have to figure this out, on your own or with the help of the Nintendo Power, classified information if you had access to that. And I know you have access to tons of that these days.
Yeah, if you did anything smart, you listened to Doc in Punch Out and you subscribed to Nintendo Fun Club. They told you in turn to subscribe to Nintendo Power, and then that's where you got your answers to what order to fight the robot bosses in. But
how's go ahead.
No, you're good. Mega Man 2 is, sorry, you're not good. I'm gonna finish my thought. Mega Man 2 is also on my top 10. Some of the games on my top 10 are a given. Some of them are like, okay, I respect the vision type things. There's a reason why these games have stood the test of time, and Mega Man 2 had everything the first game had, plus, you were allowed to choose your difficulty in the American version, so that's probably the other thing, is that makes it easier to beat, is that if you don't play it on normal difficulty and you play at beginner difficulty, then yeah, sure, it's the bosses give you a little less hassle.
Of course.
Basically,
the American version.
Yeah, basically you get the Japanese version if you pick hard mode, so that's
or what they might just call the regular version.
You're right. So yeah, go on. What else you got for me?
Oh, I was just saying. Video game wise, good questions. I like my Marios, of course. I like Mario 2. That's the Pinkerton of the Mario trilogy.
What's your favorite NES game?
I don't know. I don't know. This is why I said, what are some of my selects? Because to pick a favorite one, and what's one you come back to all the time?
What? Just name something. Just quick. 5 seconds. Dead air. Dead air. Just say words. Just say words.
Metroid's a good one.
I should have given you no seconds. Metroid.
All right.
I mean, yeah, Metroid's good. What about RPGs?
I name my tops.
Yeah, how about RPGs? That's an easier question.
Well, not much to pick from. Final Fantasy, although the OG Final Fantasy, much to be improved upon, and they did improve upon it. So there's that, and obviously Dragon Warrior. But again, the quality of life improvements came later, but they were awesome when they came out, and that was all you had.
In terms of experiences, I feel like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest III are sort of evenly matched. You get a bit more customization with Dragon Quest III because you can swap your party members in and out or whatever. But Final Fantasy was definitely set a precedent in terms of what an RPG could be, and they spent a lot of time trying to push the boundaries on that. Good old Dragon Quest, or Dragon Warriors, it's called in the NES. They adopted a more we know what works, and we will improve upon what works, but we're not trying to step on anybody's toes here. So a lot of the Dragon Quest experience is universal across those games, less than what you get down the line. But Dragon Quest 3 is great, and I finally beat the enemy that's guarding the maw of the Necrogond last night. After the last 4 sessions I played, I've been trying to beat this thing, and I finally said, screw it. What do I need to do to beat this guy? So I started buying.
Be better.
I did everything short of like, okay, the next step is grinding to make my levels go up. I started shopping for equipment in order to in order to minimize the damage that this thing was doing. So first it was like, okay, he's doing a lot of fire attacks. And then I started shifting stuff around. It's like, oh, he's also doing paralysis attacks. Then there was that. And it was like, I still couldn't beat the thing. And I finally said, you know what? Screw it. I'd finally used all of the seeds that I had not touched for the course of the entire game. I've been touching anything because I've been getting through the game all right. So now it's like I've got this giant stockpile of like, here's 25 seeds of life and, 20 seeds of strength and everything. I had a lot of these seeds, so I just started stat boosting everyone. I dumped everything onto everyone, and then I started fighting the guy, and the fight started going bad. I was like, I just want to give this fight up. That's the only thing I wish that game had was the second the fight starts going wonky, like to just be like, hey, can you just send me back to a save point so I don't have to sit here and get killed over it?
Yeah.
But I did beat him because he's no good, and that's it. So it's on to the next chapter of the game for me. So Are you
playing difficulty mode, easy mode? Regular?
Yeah,
okay.
It's reg.
Sounds good. I haven't played in a while, for sure. I want to get back to it.
My trigger finger got itchy when you said I haven't. Normally the words that come out of your mouth are, I haven't played that one, so I was like, all right, here we go.
Right. But he has played that one. You came up here last week, and we've been doing so much, and we recorded a lot of content, and like we've said before, paradoxically, the more interested we're in the video game stuff, we don't have the time to play the video games. We gotta eke that out.
Yeah. So I did do that. That makes me feel a little better because I had been stuck on that and when I say 4 playing sessions, that's almost 3 weeks of time because I'm only able to get around to this stuff like once or twice a week. It sucks, but I got to use the rest of the time to make content. So. Oh, boo-hoo. Son of Rad Chaser can't play his video game because he has to spend his time doing the other thing that he loves doing.
Oh, boo-hoo. Chaser can't play video games because he's busy making videos about video games.
And to round out the list, Punch-Out and Archon.
Ooh.
Oh, and River City Ransom, which we played... We played the Game Boy Advance version while I was up there, and man, that's the way to play that game. It looks good.
River City Ransom DX, just smoother. It seemed like it's just a more, they took everything and made it look cooler and made it run smoother. So that was pretty sweet. The Game Boy player, yeah,
they did for sure. And there's nothing I'd love more than to sit there and just play that game in that way. Because man, that was sweet on that Game Boy player. Oh, did we mention I bought a Game Boy player and then brought it up to your house and then?
Yeah. So you had the disc for the Game Boy player for the GameCube, and then you got the bottom part. So you brought that up here, and we hooked it into the GameCube, and we played Game Boy games through the GameCube on the GameCube kiosk, which, if you guys have never seen one of those, go check out the page. We've got many videos on the thing, short and long form.
It's the third member of the Chaser Brothers family, the GameCube kiosk.
It's a beaut.
It's in more videos than I am, probably. I don't know. It's in a lot of them.
Everybody, go watch all the videos and see who appears more. See who's the real co-host.
It's the Chaser Brothers podcast with Rad Chaser and the GameCube kiosk. I have to sit here and run the soundboard. I just pop in every once in a while, like Megan on the Sunny podcast.
The cube that makes you a rube.
Yeah. Luigi's Mansion. I grabbed it off the stanchion. The crispiest of freestyles, but that's a story for another day. Yeah.
Right. So the Game Boy player was pretty sweet. What else? What else did you do when we were up here? We did quite a bit of stuff.
Hey,
And we got another.
Sorry, I
Go ahead.
don't want to cut you off. Let's save it for the second half of the show, which I promise you, baby bird, we're getting so close to it, because I do have a couple more things that I need to mention before we get to the second half. We can talk about all the stuff that we did. By the way, listening to this podcast is a great way to see what's going to come out on the page in the future, because the podcast comes out once a week. The stuff gets chopped up as fast as possible, which is it's an undertaking by Rad Chaser. He does all the long form stuff, so it is still coming out. Like, he was still chopping up stuff from the last time I was there while I was there this time. So the podcast is away. Sorry. Now to get back to the last couple of things. I've gotten a couple of boxes of stuff here, which I may have to do my own power hour. We did a power hour while I was there, but we'll get to that. I may have to do my own power hour sometime during the next week or so, because I've got a couple of boxes of stuff I got to go through. It's Nintendo powers mostly. And also I did see that there was a book called Disrupting the Game by Reggie Fils-Aimé, and I had to grab that because he was sort of integral to the Nintendo success of the 2010s. And I'd say this guy was like the modern day Howard Phillips. He was the face of Nintendo of America. And I'm glad that he has a bibliography, or it's not a bibliography, an autobiography. And I'm really excited to read it. From the Bronx to the Top of Nintendo, Disrupting the Game by Reggie Fils-Aimé. And it looks like he wrote it himself. I don't see a ghostwriter, but I could be wrong. I haven't opened it yet. I've never read it.
Well, it sounds like a real treat once you decide to dive into it.
Yeah, and then
Right.
and past that, I guess there is more stuff. But if you want to hear about the more stuff, you're gonna have to wait until part 2. Newsflash: part 2 is coming right now.
Red Chaser.
One day we'll have commercial sponsors. And then you'll hate.
That's where they'll go.
Yeah, you'll hate hearing that, because it's like, okay, time to. I mean, actually, it'll be good. Time to walk away from what I'm doing for a couple of minutes so I can go rock a piss.
Time to listen to what the sponsors have to say, because they keep this podcast afloat. So don't you go anywhere. You pee in a bottle.
It's true. We love our benevolent sponsors in the future. Right now,
This episode brought to you by bottles. Clear ones.
You need to get up while you're listening to our show? Screw that.
No, you don't.
Pee in a bottle. I'm gonna have to pee in a bottle if I keep sipping on this delicious zero sugar Dr. Pepper cherry. That's not an ad. That's just one man's love for a cherry flavored soda with no sugar in it. That's the best part. And it's the middle of the day, so I can consume caffeine.
DP.
The original Dr. Pepper. Let's talk about what we did while we were up there, because we did a lot of stuff. You got some of it on last week's podcast, but now you get the rest of the stuff, because that week was a week. There was a lot of stuff that went on last week.
Yeah, we did a lot of driving on the beloved, the most hated, the dangerous I-4 in Orlando, voted deadliest highway in America, and voted by the Son of Rad Chaser the most rage-inducing.
It induced rage. The rage was not. Listen, it pushed the rage over the edge. It did sharpen my skills to be a more aggressive aggressive driver, which was evidenced by such classic moves as beep beep, don't hit me.
Beep beep, don't hit us.
Yeah. Beep beep, don't hit us, and the turn signal is a courtesy to let you know I'm about to cut you off.
Right. It's not. The turn signal is not asking permission to turn. It's the turn signal is letting you know I'm coming. Accommodate me.
Yes, and if you're in front of me, beep beep is to warn you. It's for beep beep, don't hit me.
All right. And if somebody's beep beeps also if somebody's coming into the lane without signaling and about to sideswipe you, you just give them a little beep beep because don't hit me.
Yeah. I discovered that tactic on my own, and then you started laughing, told me about beep beep, don't hit us.
So anyway, we decided to take all that rage and document it. So we've got a segment tentatively called "Chasers and Cars Getting Boba" until we get sued by comedians and cars getting coffee, and then we'll change it. But we drive around and we talk about our video games, but sometimes normal everyday life creeps into that conversation as well. So still figuring out the format on that. But just trying to maximize.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm so bad at interrupting you. Do you think that Seinfeld's attorney makes his cease and desist letters the same way that Seinfeld talks? So it's like, listen, this is a clear violation and obvious reproduction of my client's show, Comedians and Cars Getting Coffee. It's comedians, you're chasers. Cars, same thing. Boba, coffee, it's the same thing. You're sued.
Perhaps. I don't know if it would be so aggressive. It would be a little more passive because, it would just be an observational type. Chasers.
What's the deal with you guys ripping off the format of my client's show? You saw that and,
coffee,
you saw it and said, hey, all I got to do is switch the drink and everything will be great. My client does not find this funny.
If you could, maybe just stop doing that.
He doesn't like it. I don't know. So back to the rage.
Sure, your rage is blowing gauges. Whatever. We chat on our way to point A to point B. We've always wanted to do a point A to point B style podcast. Anyway, so here it is, and it's we're figuring it out. It's a good time. It's a good way to maximize all the in between time from filming different segments on our way out and about. So very enjoyable.
I think in terms of what it brings to the table specifically, those episodes, I think it might be the best stuff we've filmed in terms of just being real about stuff on camera, because the rage was real. I did black out, but I remember when it happened.
When I came to, I was mad.
I didn't really black out, but I was so mad that after the cameras turned off, I had to be like, hey, now I really need to vent. And then
I'm really gonna ramp it up.
We talked about the aftermath of that. It's sort of in the final installment. So there was definitely sort of like a rise, a peak, and then denouement in terms of how my anger was at that point. The thing that kicked off the anger was it was a combination of two things. First, like we really just lucked out right at the start of the trip. We talked about it last week. And then it made the fact that the problem started happening so much worse because we already peaked on day one. And then it was just like my computer stopped working. Like we literally recorded last week's podcast into our separate phones, and then I had to I had to use the cloud to upload the stuff onto the computer because the USB drive stopped working on the computer. It was just a pain in the ass, and I ended up buying a new laptop, which was part of the that was part of the thing. We were on our way to our buddy's house for a surprise. We were going to surprise him on his birthday, and I was like, I want to hit Best Buy because Dr. and Mrs. Son of Chaser's like, just buy a new laptop. She's like, I ain't got time. Just go buy a new laptop. So I bought a Lenovo Yoga, but before that, there was a combination of the night before and that day, and there was a combined total of just 5 hours of time that just got wasted with technical difficulties. So I was already like at my limit for being mad, and then everyone was just driving like, I don't even want to say they're driving like a jerk. Everyone was driving the way they normally do on I-4. There wasn't any difference between that day and 3 days later when I was driving on I-4. I mean, I was different. I transformed.
Well, right. If anything, you were driving like a jerk because you weren't getting with the program, or you hadn't heard about the program. So I guess you weren't really a jerk, but just a learning curve. Driving on an aggressive road where it's basically the outlaws and it's the Wild West. Do whatever you want because there's really no penalty for anything. I don't ever see people getting pulled over for speeding, driving like an animal. So really, it's do what you will.
You got to hit someone to get pulled over, and that's if you both decide to stop. And
all right.
So look, I had to get with the program. And I did realize there was only one thing that was still bugging me, and this is because you have to drive aggressively. I've accepted that into my heart. I have to drive aggressively myself. My problem is the people who are not with the program, they get right into my blind spot. They speed up to get into my blind spot, and then instead of going past me, they just sit there right in a place where I can't merge. And that was the first thing that kicked it off. Like I have no control. I have control over, okay, person's about to cut me off. Well, I'm going to let him in because I don't want him to hit me. If I'm pulling in front of someone, I can, pray that they don't hit me. I can be more aggressive. I can speed up past the person that does that, but I don't have any control. And it was once a day this was happening where someone would just pull up right next to me and then drive at the same speed and not pass me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that got things started, and then it's just people cutting me off, people doing this.
Yeah.
I love you, but you're not I'm
not in love with you.
You're not best at giving me the directions the way that I need them.
Oh, you're talking to me. Okay.
Yes.
Well, right. I was going to say, to be fair, you don't come up here. You've only recently started coming up here with any sort of semi, regularity. So it's like you don't know where anything is. And, I do have to say, hey, all right, it's time to start thinking about getting over a couple of lanes instead of like just being able to say, hey, all right, get over. All right, get off. I have to plan ahead as well.
Yeah. So a big thing that Dr. Mrs. Son of Chaser does is she's got her whole route planned out for success. Sometimes I'll just pick a lane because that's where I like to drive, but I've since experienced the virtues of being in the lane that you need to be in when something is going to change. So I'll be driving in a lane. She'll be like, why are you driving in this lane? Like, I was like, it's fine. She's like, yeah, but we have to turn. I was like, yeah, in like 20 miles from now. But if I'm somewhere where that's fine if you know where you are. If you don't know where something is, like, you got to be in the lane that you need to be in, which is one of two lanes. The lane to pass everyone who's driving too slowly, or the lane to get off of the exit.
Yeah, I did notice that about you for sure, and I was trying not to be a backseat driver. So I was like, well, I mean, we're not hurting anybody. We're just, taking forever to get there.
Well, listen, from now on, you just go.
Because we're driving behind an 18-wheeler for some reason.
Well, I like to drive
At the speed limit.
in the middle lane, which is fine. That's where you're allowed to drive the speed limit. I mean, look, I've accepted a fact into my heart, and you can't drive the speed limit in the passing lane, which is paradoxical because the speed limit is the speed limit. So only the people in the maximum speed that the people in the passing lane should be is the speed limit.
Yeah. Really, just consider it, think about it as being the Autobahn, where there are no speed limits and there are no rules.
Yeah. Where you may wave your pistol freely at whomever you like.
Correct. Anyway, this is a podcast about traffic now.
Yeah, the Chaser Brothers traffic forecast. It's going to be a big pain in the butt on I-4, as it always is, and there will be construction at some point. It's under construction.
The Chaser Brothers podcast, a podcast about anything except video games.
So then we get to Best Buy, and I've had it, and we had a person come up to our window. I could not tell if she was begging for money or if she wanted to get us to sign a petition or something. I couldn't tell what the deal was. It could have been one or either thing, but I just rolled the window down and looked at her. I was like, "Hey, we're filming something," and rolled the window back up. And she's like, so she's like, she wants money is what it was, which is fine, whatever. I'm normally pretty good about just being like, here, have money. I was not in the mood to be bothered, and I was already like at the peak amount of my
bothered.
Yeah, like I was holding the real rage back off of the camera, so I was there, and then she came back to the car like 2 more times. And I got everything off of my chest, and that guy pulled up right next to us, like so close to us that I could barely open my door to get out. That set you off a little bit, which I thought was funny.
People love parking next to other people or sitting next to other people in an otherwise empty restaurant.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy.
Or they the workers love cleaning up around you while you're sitting there trying to enjoy a succulent Chinese meal,
Yeah, this is why Rad Chaser lives alone, he trains alone, win the title alone. Can't be bothered. But we did the thing. I calmed down. We went into Best Buy, and going into Best Buy is a crapshoot, because especially if you're trying to buy something specific, because it's a retail store, so they may not have what you're looking for. Whereas the internet always has what you're looking for, and that's just a question of is it going to come here on time? Such as the camera I ordered did not make it on time last week. Didn't make it at all. I had to get a refund for it. So now I have to start camera shopping again, which is fine. Whatever. It's not a priority. I just thought it would be cool to have another camera in the mix. So I was stoked about that. But irregardless, we go into Best Buy, and I start looking around, and I basically bought the same laptop that Dr. Mrs. Son of Chaser has. I got a nice little thing and got it set up, and it just made everything easier. And that was good. I got all my feelings out. I felt better. And then the most important thing, and which probably did all the heavy lifting and none of the emotional venting, was, stuff.
Stuff will always be there for you. It's been a staple in my life for as far as I can remember. It's, coddled me, it's nurtured me, it's reared me, it's given me more comfort than any parent ever has. So I agree with you on that statement.
Yes. In a world where stuff is awesome and having more of it makes you even more awesome. That's what happened.
In a world where people think experiences are cooler than stuff. You're dead wrong.
This joker spent $2,000 on a trip to Japan. And what did he come back with? Do you think he came back with Japan? I don't think so. He did spend a couple $100 on retro video game stuff, and that is what he came back with, and that's what he's gonna remember. If anything, the stuff is the only thing that makes him remember the trip.
He came back with memories.
How
and
much
those go away?
How much can you trade a memory for on eBay? The answer is lower than you think.
Less than 0.
You can get bullied into. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. Hold on one second. You can get bullied into suicide for sharing your thoughts on the internet. I shouldn't have said it, but I did say it. But I bleeped it out.
So yeah, get your stuff. Get as much of it as you can. If you ever get to a point where you could trade it all for a little bit more, do that too.
Yeah, that's the trade. Trade it all for more. That's the trade. So that got all the rage out of my system, and then I was fine, and we went to a lovely little birthday gathering, and that was great. Rip roaring fire, had that going. We got that going good.
Little bonfire action.
Yeah,
A little Florida bonfire.
little Florida
It's not
mosquitoes.
Not super. Oh yeah, they're out for blood. It's not super hot yet, but it is a little bit warm for the fire. But looked cool.
Yeah, I mean, there was a good wind going, and it was threatening to rain all day, so that was the other part of it. It was the right weather. It was an early spring bonfire that that was probably the last day of the year that you're going to be thinking about having a bonfire for a while.
Yeah. Okay, that was fun.
Yeah. There was more fun. There was tons of content that got shot. We went to Gamers Inc. again. I wasn't expecting anything there. That was just a side quest to going to Royal Tea for boba. The last time I was there, we did do chasers in car getting boba. No boba to be seen if you've got an eagle eye. So this time we had
chasers in cars.
Yeah. So we had to step up the boba game. We took 3 boba breaks, and on the last one, we went to Gamers Inc. because I really needed that moose milk tea from Royal Tea. It was not going to be anything else for me. I had to get it. We went to Gamers Inc. We had to, that was on the heels of you selling your future away, unfortunately. So again, there was a lot of good and bad last week.
Did you say moose milk?
I did, as in,
milk from a moose.
Sauce from a fish.
Sauce from a fish, moose from a milk from a moose.
No, like hair mousse for your milk. So.
Foamy.
So you had to part with your retirement fund, and that made me feel bad to talk about it now.
Right. Well. Okay.
Sorry. I just feel like you've got it bottled up a little bit, and let's just talk about it and make ourselves feel better. We'll end on a high note, I promise.
Okay. Well, the life sucks. I don't make enough money, and I had to sell, gold and silver to pay for the rent. And I didn't want to do that. It's the last bit of anything I wanted to do, and pretty depressing. And it, sent me down on the spiral, and it's still there because I have to think about it. Every month is a photo finish to get to the end to pay all the bills, and that's just the way things are right now, and that pretty depressing. So.
Yeah. I hate that
Yeah.
for you. I don't like that for you. It's look, we're gonna keep grinding. You know, you've got a good mental outlook on it. You know, there's an end game here for you in terms of potential future success. You're working harder than anyone I know. So that's, you know, you and my boy Tristan, who again, hard work gets you the success, but until the hard work starts churning out money, it you know, that's where your true resolve as a human is. And you know, you are definitely God, I hate it because, you know, you might feel like you're at the lowest point of your life right now because money controls everything, and that sucks. But your outlook past that is, you know, you're like, gotta keep grinding. There, you've still got computer work coming in. Go to virovisionproduction.com if you have any editing work that you need. That's more money in more Son of Chaser. Yeah, I'll take my 5%. So that's money in my pocket, but then that's more money in Rad Chaser's pocket. So speaking of getting that kind of work, you did get a cool job recently, unsolicited, off of Fiverr. Someone saw the GameCube. They saw stuff that we did, and they're like, "Hey, we'd like to hire you. Please talk about that. Make yourself feel good." Because hopefully more of that kind of stuff comes in.
Yeah, somebody sent an email. They sell GameCube controllers, among other things, Bluetooth ones. So they shot me an email and said, "Hey, we want to work with you, and hopefully they're going to be sending along a controller, and we could do a video for that and do a little review, and that's going to be pretty sweet." So that was nice. It was nice to get an offer for a collaboration, unsolicited. They solicited us. So, pretty sweet.
I know you always
fun.
do your best work. When that controller comes, I need you to crank that up even more. We got to crank it up to 11 for that controller video. I want you to
big time.
I want you to blow their socks off and then have them be like, "Hey, your mans, anytime something else comes out, send it to your boy, and let's talk turkey." Looking for big money clients, and that's great. I'm happy that happened for you. I think that's a good stepping stone to getting. Yeah, even if you have do what we would deem like regular money work. That's the kind of thing where it's like, hey, let's get this across the desk and film something really cool and get it going. So I'm excited to see how that turns out and stuff, and when the stuff comes in.
Yeah, man. So that'll be fun. Good stuff on the horizon there. Good opportunity. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and back to the end of the story. We'll end this on the high note, because the high note is getting more stuff, baby. We ended up at Gamers Inc., and I was certainly not looking for. I almost was just like, I just want the tea. We don't got to go into Gamers Inc. And you said, no, let's pop in. So I said, okay, let's pop in. And I'm at the point in my quest where I got a lot of holes that I got to fill in. And there was a mountain of Nintendo Power games Nintendo Powers on the shelf in there for me, where I was like, hey, this is perfect. I could pick stuff a la carte. All the magazines were $5, which is that's a good price. They were all in great condition for the most part, and I ended up picking up about another 10 or so magazines. So it put me in a really nice spot in terms of where my quest is going. And that was great, because the last time we went there, I did look at all that stuff. I was like, I don't want to just start picking random stuff off of the shelf. Now that I figured out the solution to building up your Nintendo Power collection, which is just going to eBay and buying lots, get the best price you can for the lots. That's what you got to do, and then eventually you will find yourself in a position where you got little holes in, and that's sort of where I'm at right now. And I plugged up a bunch of those little holes, so it was pretty awesome. So that was great for me. I walked out with a bag full of stuff, and it was great and inexpensive to boot.
Yeah, look, you always have to go to the spots. Even if you say, whatever, I'll skip it this time. You got to go because that time could be the time that you find the thing that you either were looking for, or you find something you're like, well, I didn't know I needed this or wanted it, but oh, there it is, and the price is right too. So it's ABC, baby. Always be chasing.
Yeah, I'm gonna internalize that lesson because I really was thinking to myself, well, I don't need to go to Gamers Inc. and I would be kicking myself. I had been so long since I've been there that I forgot that there was some potential in there, and I was just thinking like there were shelves of this stuff. I grabbed everything I wanted. It was great.
Right, and there's more stuff to be had, and I know it just sits there because every time I go there, it's just there.
It's like it was waiting for me, and that's what you said too. Hey, I'm not worried about picking this thing up today because it'll probably be sitting there.
There's just some things that don't move, like the magazines. It seemed like that when we went to Galactornator Rex, they didn't, he was like, I don't really move these things. And, I've seen those shelves of those. I know I've seen multiple players' guides that I keep coming back to. Mario Paint, that's been sitting there forever.
Yeah. And I think we're in an interesting age because print media interests us because, there was still print media when we were growing up. There was Nintendo Power for us growing up. So the thought of any sort of video games based editorial is it strikes my fancy, whereas the new kids they don't have any such sort of connection to that. There's a meaninglessness in getting a player's guide for a game that you can look it up online. So why pay any dollars when you have to pay no dollars for the information that you're looking for?
All right, it's the print media aspect of it. It's the cool 80s and 90s ness of the thing. If you like it, you like it. And like you said, there's time capsules and there's stuff you learn there, or just something you thought was cool. You can get the info anywhere.
That is correct. I mean, what I'm learning about Nintendo Power. And especially just seeing how it's like evolving through the ages is that these are history tomes. Like, yes, they've got video game facts and then they've got maps and tips and stuff, but you find out things about video game history that you can only find out in this thing because it's literally like, here's a snapshot of what's going on at the time. Even if it's just people sending in their artwork, little thing, little stories about like, hey, this game came out in Japan, like it's going to be so cool when it comes out here, and then like it never does, or it comes out as something different, it's localized in a different way. There's also just ads. Ads are great time capsules because it's like, I mean, for one, it's like, ooh, stuff. And that that tickles, that gets my sprunger going, but yeah. the ads are like, if you want sort of like an accurate representation of how the time is, look at the ads of the time. The ads of the time like really capture the essence of society, I feel like, and you get to see these old ads, and those things are cool, and just information that might be available, but it's, scattered to the winds. And now you have this, like I have this convenient library where I can just find out this kind of stuff, and it's cool. I could write a book about the cool stuff that I'm finding in Nintendo Powers. And if I get bored, I just may. The call to write a book has been calling to me. I don't know if I've ever said that out loud or even thought about it, but I feel like I want to write a book. I think I could do it. I think I could write a book.
I mean, look, that's step one. Have the idea, and you get excited enough about it, and then you just start doing it, and you're like, all of a sudden, well, all right, it's done.
Ah, yes, the classic stumbling block. So do.
Yeah, so I mean, look, you've almost got. You're gonna have every issue, so you know, I would say at least you're an authority on that. You've got every issue, so now it's like you've poured through them, and you'll keep doing so, and then now you just organize your thoughts.
There you go.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. It's bottom line time, I think, if we don't got anything else.
No, we are out of time, so yeah, let's bottom line it.
Oh, bottom line. Oh, you got a bottom line. Get your bottom line out, baby.
Jammer Lammy's the better rhythm-based game. So if you're gonna, I mean, look, they're both good. If you're gonna play, play Parappa, it's more, more popular. But if you want something a little bit different, a little more rockin', less rapping, you can go for Jammer Lammy.
I think Parappa 2 has the experience of having two of those games under their belt already after making a third one. But yeah, that's fine. Jammer Lammy's I think Jammer Lammy's got the better soundtrack. It rocks more. I think that's the
yeah, they're both accessible games though, so either one.
That's a good bottom line. My bottom line is just be the hardest worker in the room, I guess. Just be the hardest worker. At the end of the day, you'll have a pile of something to show for it. Unless you're trying unless you're trying to use that pile to, convert it into memories, which are garbage.
Right, those fade.
Your
stuff stays.
Your body's actively fighting against your memories. Just keep that in mind. The stuff, as long as you remember to take care of the stuff will last forever.
Stuff will keep you happy.
Yeah. Memories are fleeting. Stuff is forever. That's the bottom line.
Send us stuff.
What's your bottom line? Email us at chaserbros@gmail.com. We will read any email and we'll answer it, and we're happy to do so. So that's gonna be it. I'm the son of Rad Chaser. Until next time.
Till next time, my beautiful chasers, please keep this in mind and take it to heart. Never, ever, ever forget. Keep chasing them.
Rat Chaser.